Okay, so coming off of that week, the 3 wins, what have you seen from the boys since? How are they physically?
Yeah, first of all, starting the week, making sure that everyone is recovered, that everybody is 100% and ready to go, especially after, like you said, a lot of minutes, travel in a week, and a very intense week, physically and mentally. So we started the week with that, assessing what everybody was, and also with high levels of awareness, high levels of focus, and determination of the week that we have ahead. What happened last week, it doesn't matter. Full focus is on Tulsa right now, and for us, Tulsa is the most important game of this year.
Darnell King, any update on him?
Well, little by little, he's been doing a lot of work with the medical staff. He's going to be out probably for a couple of games, and we're going to try to get him back as fast as we can.
Looking ahead to this game against Tulsa then, what do you think is going to be the key in this match to getting a result there?
You have to stay focused. We have to stay concentrated. We have to understand that there's going to be a difficult match, and they're going to be ready to go. You have to match that intensity, and we have to make sure that the concentration levels are high. The hungriness of the players, it's on, and I've noticed that all week. The players have been focused, they've been concentrated, they understand what the task is, and they also understand in the positions that they put themselves. Now, that doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is Saturday night, we have turned the page, and hopefully the team is ready to go again. What's
it like having players who used to play for the opposition? Like you've got Gabby obviously going into this one.
Oh, it's great. Listen, if there's a team that every week we have a player that probably played there that has a link with the team is us. We've had 21 new players, so we've dealt with this pretty much all year of pretty much almost every single game, and it's good. It's good because you could probably get some insight of individual players and collective stuff. So it's always good to have that extra information, but most importantly is that extra motivation to go over there and play.
And then you look at their side as well, they've got a lot of Phoenix Rising influence over there. How do you think, take Blair as an example, how do you think he's done in this year?
He's done a great job. It's not easy to come into this league. It's a very difficult league that keeps getting better year after year. Better players keep coming in, better coaches keep coming in, with Blair being one of them. It's a guy that, his awareness, his tactical knowledge, the way how organized he is, you could see it, and he's brought a lot to the league. It's never easy, and on first years there's a lot of growing pains, and that's what I've seen. I've seen a team that sometimes does a lot of great things and good things, but also a new team that has to go through turbulent moments. But there's going to be a very, very difficult game in which, like you said, there's a lot of people on the other side that was part of this organization in the past, and we're going to have to be focused, because I can guarantee you that they're going to be ready to go.
What kind of a challenge is it as well to sometimes play on those the baseball fields?
For us, it don't matter. We don't look at where we're going to go, obviously. It's at the end of the day, it could be a circumstance or a situation, but we try to focus 100% on us, on the things that we can do. Wherever we play it's not an excuse. It has never been an excuse, and hopefully we can go over there and still impose our identity, game model, and be able to put a good performance that leads to a good result.
When you look at last weekend, they got the result over San Antonio. What do you think was the key for them in that game?
It was an interesting game. I think San Antonio now is going through a bit of a turbulent moment. They get that early injury. They have to force a substitution. I think Tulsa came out full of energy, thrive, wanting to go forward, wanting to create things in the opponent's half, but also the way they defended. They defended very well as well. So for them, I think it's how focused they are on this final stretch, how much they want to push. I could see on the players when I was watching the game how they wanted to come out of that turbulent time as well, because they had a couple of results that didn't go their way, and they finally got a win. So now we'll see what approach they take and what's going to be their behavior, and how are they going to look on Saturday night.
When we look at those 3 games that you just had, both Danny and Manu really stepping up in those games, and now they're both in contention for the Golden Boot, Danny leading it. But what do you think has clicked with them recently?
I just think they've been fighting and training and pushing and going through adversity. Not just them, but the whole team since day one. There's a group of players. I don't know if you guys, when you arrive, if you walk through the field, but you could see that pretty much 75% of the team is done training, and Danny, Trejo, and Manu are still out there. either doing some extra on the field or doing stuff in the gym. So these are guys that are very ambitious. These are guys that don't settle, and they want more and more and more, not just goals, but they want to perform better. They want to be on the field, and that's important. That's important because if these are guys that are being successful and they're that hungry and they're leading the pack, leading by example, it's important because then it translates to the field, and it's part of the culture that we want to implement. And this doesn't come by, I mean, it's not a gift, it's not a surprise. There's a lot of hard work and hours behind all the goals and the performances and the assists that both of them have.
And obviously we hear about the local angle a lot with Jose, but how important is he to this team just as a player?
Rhythm, intensity, tempo. There's a guy that can link up, that it's a glue in between lines, it's a connector, but it's also his tactical awareness, understanding and reading of the game. It's massive. We see the game the same way. We see the game very similar. When he's on the field, sometimes he looks over his shoulder, he's looking at me, and we can already read and assess situations together. Listen, in Vegas, we worked because we thought it was going to be a back four, and it ended up being a back five. Right away, you see Jose turning around, guys like Ale Tul and Manu, Trejo, they read it right away. So Jose is that tactical, inside the field. Same thing versus RGV. Second half, they switched to a back four. You see Jose right away turning over his shoulder, and he's giving me a sign because he's reading moments right away, and that's very, very important. And then also being a leader on the field, and someone that, again, he's fought for every minute that he's earned. He's been in the stands, he's been on the bench, he's been as a starter. He's lived every possible scenario that there is to live as a soccer player. He's also been hurt, so he had to fight injury at the beginning of the year. So it also speaks high volumes of who he is, and also speaks high volumes of the culture and the things that we want to do. Is if you fight, if you work hard, if you follow the tactical and you're tactically disciplined, and then you can execute technically, you're going to get an opportunity, and then it's up to the players to grab that opportunity, and Jose has done all of that.
And Renzo is on the brink of a 2-game yellow card suspension at the moment. How much of that is in the back of mind?
One game at a time. Yeah, one game at a time. We're focused on Tulsa, and that's all the focus we have. If Renzo gets a yellow, then he's going to have to sit for Detroit and Indy. If he doesn't, then he's going to, be ready for selection for the next game, which is Detroit.
Who and what initially inspired you to pursue a career in professional sports, both as a coach and as a player?
Let's see. As a player, since a very young age, my dad had a huge influence on me to try to play the sport, because he comes from a family Italian background in which every weekend in the house there was football, there was soccer on TV. So that was the very early influence, and then just falling in love watching players on TV. I remember watching Serie A with my father at home, and that's when the love and the passion started playing when I was 4 years old. And then after that, listen, as a pro, when I was a player, I looked a lot at Gio Savarese as a player and then a coach. So I had the opportunity to play for him in New York Cosmos, and then after I played for him is when that true passion about coaching started. It's just the way that he had of being able to influence players, not just on the professional side but also on the personal side. This is someone that pushes you, that challenges you a lot, but also is someone that supports you, and he taught me the thin balance between obedience and belief. This is someone that you want to be obedient to what he's asking to do as a coach, but you also not doing it because you're just gonna obey what he says. You do it because you believe in what he's saying. If he's saying, let's take this route because this route is gonna get us closer to success, I'll take that route because I believe in what he's saying, not just because he's telling me to go. I'm very stubborn, and if I don't believe in something, I'll probably go the other route. So he made me really believe in that, and those were my major influences.
So many players and coaches aspire to reach the professional level but never make it. Having achieved so much in your career, both as a player and as a coach, how do you sort of stay motivated to perform at your best when you've already reached the highest level of the sport?
I don't believe I've reached the highest level with a lot of respect to our league, to our organization, to you guys, to our players, and everybody that surrounds me. I'm very ambitious, just like this organization is. As an organization, we don't believe we have reached our highest level either, and hopefully we can, both organization, myself, staff, everyone involved with the organization, we can keep growing and we can achieve that highest level. I try to stay ambitious. I try to stay humble. I try to keep learning. That's the thing that I've noticed the most, is that the more I look, is the more I found out that I didn't know that much. So there's a lot more to learn, and I have to keep learning, especially how fast this game is changing and transforming. Just as society, if you stop learning for a few months, you find that you're behind. So that's how I stay motivated. And then obviously it's my family. I have a lot of people that are depending on me, and I have to make sure that that I'm at my best to reach the highest potential, and also to be able to provide for all of them.
And then, as a role model to many aspiring soccer players and coaches, how do you view your responsibility to inspire and motivate the next generation?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's our responsibility. It's just not just mine. We have to make sure that we can give back, and that we just don't take and receive. As professional athletes, professional coaches, whatever you are, and in the community or for organizations, it's easy to receive. It's easy to receive, to grab, to just maintain it and hold it for as long as you're here, and then you go and you don't turn back. For me, it's important that wherever I am, I have the ability to give back as much as I'm receiving. And here in Phoenix, I have received so much, so I have a lot to give back. I hope I have the opportunity to be able to do that, because that to me is very, very important, and that's a huge responsibility that we all have, and it's not that easy. So it's important for us to stay focused, to stay humble, and to understand that being able to give back to the community that we represent and that represents us is key and is important in what we do.
And then lastly, what do you hope your legacy will be when it's all said and done?
Here in Phoenix?
Yeah.
We came back to Phoenix with a mission. And obviously this first year is the year of the laying foundations, and laying a strong foundation into what we want to believe for the next, what we want to build for the next year. It is building a foundation that is solid enough and strong enough that gives us longevity, either through a game model, to an identity that then leads to performances, and then it leads to results. You don't start with the results and then you do the rest, because then that doesn't last. So we want to make sure that we came to Phoenix with a purpose. We came to Phoenix with a mission, that is to put this organization at the highest place we can put it. And at the end of the days, when we look back, hopefully that legacy is leaving the organization as high as we can, and in many aspects, not just with titles, but on the moral side, on the community side, on the inclusion side. It's just many aspects that you have to make sure that you're at the highest that you can be. It's not only a trophy, not only a start. That's important, and I want that. And I want that more than anything, man. But there's also other aspects that you have to make sure that you're number one as well.
You mentioned Serie A, then watching it growing up. Who was your favourite team to watch growing up?
So I liked Juventus back then. I liked Juventus. There was three. It was Juventus, Milan, and Inter Milan. But my favorite player was Roberto Baggio. Yeah, and then when Italy loses the World Cup versus Brazil here in the U.S., and it was brutal. It was brutal, but that's how I fell in love with the game. But that's also how the game broke my heart very, very quickly.
And then South American qualifiers getting underway today. Any predictions?
Now you're playing with my heart. I get nervous. I get very nervous every time the qualifier starts, especially for Venezuela, starting today in Barranquilla. That was my first game with the national team for a World Cup qualifying game in Barranquilla. So I know how it is. I know how those players are feeling tonight. I know how tough it's going to be in the stadium. I know how hard it is, and you get excited. You get excited, but I think I get more nervous than excited. I'm also one that I don't like to watch games with a lot of people, especially when the national team plays. I do not, because I could get very angry at times. But and usually, and I hope this changes, I get more angry than happy, because it's tough. The South American qualifiers are very, very tough. And as everybody knows, as Venezuela, we've never been to a World Cup, and hopefully this could be the one. So we'll see. I don't want to jinx it.
So you're gonna lock yourself away. Is it today to watch that game?
So not too much that I lock myself away, but I keep my circle very close. Like, I couldn't be in a barbecue with people I don't know, because then they start making comments, and I get very angry because I know what's happening on the field.